Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I apologize a little bit late today, the video. It's just very quiet out there at the moment, and I just want to just talk about really the markets in general because, we're going to keep talking about this because the opportunity is going to knock fairly soon. But we just need to understand where these markets are going to go in the short term. Um, what I would say, obviously, is just a general share advice and not personal advice. Um, I think before we talk, I just want to play just a little video that I did with the wolf. This was about 3 or 4 months ago, and I'll leave it I'll leave it quite small so you can see. But you can see we're talking about the general directions of what was going to happen and where the markets were going to go, and I was comparing it to a different period in time. But it's interesting because I think it will help us also understand where the markets are going to go in the short term. And like I
Mhm.
said, we're only trading where we were last year. And generally speaking, the common sense hat, which I think you have to put on, the common sense hat says the world's got massive problems, war or no problem, inflation everywhere. There's a good chance that obviously we're going to come a lot lower over the next 6 months. But how are we going to move over the next 1 month or 2 months or maybe 3 months, right? And
Mhm.
if you go back in time and you look a little bit back towards sort of 87. There we are on a
Mhm.
big sell down. And originally the market came down to from 14,000 to 12,262, and everyone's going, "Oh, that's a big fall. That's a bit of a crash," you know. And then we had a nice little bounce, right? And then
Yep.
bang, right? Now,
Mhm.
I think we're very well set up for that type of move. And the reason I'm saying that is now we're getting into July, August, and the markets do get a little bit quiet. A lot of the big CEOs, everyone goes on holiday. Wolf, it just tends to chill out a little bit. And historically, Wolf, when you get a decent pullback, it's often those months, September and October. Don't ask me why, but certainly, well, we know why, because that's where the market's had big falls in the past, and the market tends to get a little bit nervous around that September October time. And I'm only
Right.
talking charting, Wolf. I'm not talking fundamentals in this at all, right? And this is what we want to do. We want to overlay your fundamental view of the world, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
what the
Mhm.
charts are most probably saying is that we're going to bounce up into September, right? And September, October, then we crash, right? All right. I'm gonna leave it there because what I was doing, and this is where the charts were. This is we had a little green. Um, we said the charts were going to do something very similar to what they're going to do back in 2008. They're going to have that bounce, and we had a very, very strong bounce back up from what just above that 30,000 to just under 35,000, and then bang, down it goes. So absolutely, again, Equity Story really, I think, doing a great job in sort of getting a feel where these markets are going to go. So I want to go back in time and I want to look back to 2008. Now, trends are built not really on weekly charts. Trends are really built on monthly charts. So we really want to watch these monthly trend lines really, really, really carefully. And of course, that was when we broke the trend back in 2008, and the rest is history. And what we had there was a very normal exhaustion pattern, and down it goes. So this is why it's pretty important if the market is going to get saved that we really need to be back above 30,000 by the end of this month. If we're not, and we're looking like this, I would expect that we're going to do something very similar to what we did back in 2008. The only um, difference back in 2008 was actually a lot better time than what we're in now. Back in 2008, we had high interest rates, so governments around the world could lower their interest rates to boost the economy. Um, it was a time where Governments had plenty of cash. They weren't so much in debt. The time we've got now is everything. We've got potential world war on the horizon. We've got inflation going through the roof in every country, nearly all countries around the world. We've got interest rates going up. There's little, even if we do crash this time, there's little to save us. But one would expect that we're definitely going to go down. Now, how far are we going to go? And, this is the question. This is what we talk about a number of times. The average, it was announced yesterday, last night in America. Officially now, because we're down below 20% from the highs, we're in a bear market. Okay, well, we called a bear market ages ago, but officially we're in a bear market. Now, normally, um, maybe the Biden government will come up with a different idea and say, no, we're not in a bear market, but we are. Officially, well, normally those bear markets can go on for around, say, a year and a half, around that sort of time frame. And how markets move is a little bit in these exhaustion patterns. They'll go down certain times and certain levels, and a classic exhaustion pattern would be a lot more. And what I've seen here, I've got us about halfway through that exhaustion pattern. If we continue the exhaustion pattern, I think obviously we're coming down a lot lower. Now, also the fundamentals, the issues around the world. P ratio is going to be re-rated. One would think we're definitely going to come down to 25. I think could go a lot lower, even down to 20, and maybe even a bit further. So there's plenty. There's basically what I'm saying. There's a lot further we're going to go on the markets, and once we get round here to these lows, um, and I think throughout the whole of this year, members of Equity Story must be pretty amazed how we, generally speaking, pick the market perfectly. And I know I've got emails, I've had hundreds of emails from a lot of you saying, Dave, I'm just sitting here, I'm playing with a few coal stocks, I'm playing with a few lithium plays, but generally speaking, I've got a few dividends. But generally speaking, I've got some cash and I'm ready to take advantage of this market. And we just got to be patient. It's not here. But what I think we will be able to do is hopefully by using the charts, try to get you into the market at that opportune time, so you can really take advantage of it. But we're playing these charts week by week, and that's what it's like at the moment. And if we end the week or the end of the month where we are at the moment, it's a really bad sign, and these markets potentially could go down a lot further. Now, giving you that happy news and cheered you up, and it should cheer you up because I'm warning you before it all happens. I'm telling you, get your cash. This is the time of your life. There's very few moments in your life if you've got cash. This is the time of your life that potentially you're going to be able to buy the market at a much discounted rate than you have been for many years. And those times on the horizon, and they're coming. So it is possible, because the markets never move exactly as they move. It is possible. We could have a massive collapse in the markets over the next. I mean, we've already said a crash, but seriously, we could even have a mini 1987 or more of an 87, a much stronger monthly fall, or weekly fall, collapse. That could happen, right? Sometime September, October. What could stop it? Well, maybe some desperate measures by central banks around the world. What could stop it? It might sound weird. A bigger conflict in Europe, where I think people would be absolutely terrified because you'd see a lot of money rush to markets, maybe like ours, maybe the US market. But generally speaking, I think these markets are never, ever been as scary. And we've got a property price collapse. We've got a bond collapse. We've got commodities going down, a lot of them. And we've got a stock market collapse. So 4 big parts that we look at. And never in the past, I think, have we had them all collapse at the same time. And they're all going down. But like I said, and really, this is your chance potentially to do very, very well. Now, the same pockets are doing well, really. The same little pockets, the lithium stories, um, the graphite. I mean, TLG had a good announcement today. Would I buy it? No, I'd want a better chart. I mean, RAS, if you're in this, take a profit. It was just absolutely ridiculous, up 31% on what? A few rock samples. I don't buy that at all. But it just shows there's still a little bit of FOMO in certain areas of the market. And you're seeing here also today, what you're seeing is these the NHCs, the coal stocks bouncing and generally holding. So you've got a few sections which are still doing very, very well. I think that AJL, which got sold off with a little bit of panic yesterday, I think it still potentially could be an amazing story over the next 6 months to a year. And again, the other little hot stock we put on, BDM, the more I look into that story, that little diamond player, I think it could be, again, if you're patient, another winner. But it's going to be volatile, especially all these microcaps in this time. They're all going to be extremely, extremely volatile and extremely sort of up and down. So, where do you go in this market? Yes, you've got the dividend stocks and maybe, if you can get the banks and at 5.5% divs, it's maybe well worth having a look at. If you get the NABs and the Westpacs at some decent dividend numbers, sure. I think we know the banks, you don't make money. They're just dividends. But at the end of the day, if this world is having a lot of issues, the Australian banks are some of the best in the world, and I think maybe that's an interesting place to park some money and still get a little bit of return, or get what we call a decent return. But apart from that, that's all I really want to say in this video today, because I don't want to. Yes, there are opportunities. There's so many stories that I'll give you a number of stories here that we really like, but maybe what I'll do, I'll just go through. I've got a list here, some of the best stories I think on our market, and these are stories that if the market goes down, we want to be having a look at. Things like AIM, it's trading at 1x revenue. BKW is holding up really well. Look, CDA, broken trend. You've got to get out of that, but maybe at $4, it could be worth having a look at it. Again, CGF, not a bad little story, but again, it's got a trend. You've got DSE, again, below trend. But all these stories, there's so many. Elders, Goodman Group. Look at Goodman Group trading at P of 9, quality company. It's going lower, but am I going to buy it now? No, the market looks like it's going lower. JLG, I'm going to buy it. Will I buy it on that trend line? No, I think the market's going lower. MAD, it's held up extremely well. Maybe one of the best performing stocks on the market. Maybe, if it got down to 255, you'd have a little bit of a nibble. S32, maybe put these on a monthly to help you, give you a little bit more guidance, around that 336. So there's plenty of stories there at the moment which we're interested in, but at the moment I don't really want to press the trigger and get buying them. At the moment, guys, just be patient, because like I said, this could be sometime, and I don't know when, but I have got a feeling October could be very, very, very ugly. And if it is, maybe that's our opportunity. So just keep watching these videos. We'll come up and try and come up with some ideas and maybe some good dividend plays. I think Claude came up with some beautiful stocks to have a look at yesterday if they get down to certain levels. And there'll be plenty more of that to come. We'll be looking at a lot more stocks, a lot of stocks that are no-brainers. You just got to get into them at this price. But it's not quite yet. So just hold on there. And please come and join us tonight. And at live, Equity Story Live at 7 o'clock. Let's have a look at your stocks. Are you in them? Should you get out of them? Should you? Let's have a look at them, and we'll give you an opinion. I'm with Claude again tonight, and he's an absolute brilliant analyst. And um, so look forward 7 o'clock tonight. Be there. Thank you. Bye bye.